So I haven't talked about the Kendrick and Drake beef in quite a while because things have calmed down, and over the past few weeks we've just had little things here and there, but I think now it's gotten to a point that we need to discuss this again because there could be the continuation of the beef in this discussion or just Drake's complete pettiness. So let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with everything surrounding hip-hop, make sure to subscribe and also become a part of this community by joining our Discord server in the description. Real quick, if you don't want to listen to this, make sure to skip 10 seconds into the future, but you can now sign up for my free newsletter with the first link in the description. It comes every Sunday and recaps everything that's been happening in hip-hop over the past week, so make sure to do that. So the Kendrick and Drake beef obviously died down. Kendrick emerged as the victor in this altercation, which was just on the hip-hop level, diss tracks back and forth. We've had this pop-out performance from Kendrick that I think solidified the statement that he would be kind of the winner in this beef. We've talked about it quite extensively. We've also talked about a possible continuation of this, but so far nothing had really materialized that was hinting at anything of this sort. But let's go over the past couple of, I guess it would be the last 2 weeks, of things that happened where we can see Drake's actions actually in action. That was a weird sentence, but because he's been displaying some of his power that he has and been provoking Kendrick a little bit, it's time to discuss this again. So let's start with, I mean, you've all seen this, but we need to cover this real quick. Rick Ross. He was in Vancouver and they were playing Not Like Us at the venue that he was at, and he got jumped. He got punched, and people were saying this was Drake's fans, his goons. It could have just been Canadian patriotic fans that like Drake and don't like Rick Ross that then continued to punch him. What was weird is also that he had to cancel a show in Montreal like a week prior to that, which was also linked back to maybe Drake having his hands in there, having somewhat of an effect, somewhat of an impact in that actually coming through. So we don't know exactly how the Rick Ross situation came to be, but he did get into a physical altercation because he was provoking on Canadian turf a little bit, you know, the Drake fans by playing Not Like Us. And the fact that a rap beef can lead to physical altercations is never a good sign because it should just stay in that realm of trading diss tracks back and forth and nobody getting harmed. That is now also kind of, we crossed that line. Let's also talk about ScHoolboy Q because this was the most recent example that we've had of somebody actually getting affected by this entire beef. Now, we know that ScHoolboy Q was obviously signed to TDE, and he also came out during the pop-up performance with Kendrick and is affiliated with Kendrick, so Drake probably also sees him as an enemy. And Q had a show in Toronto that then got canceled, and he also went to social media to express and let out his anger, saying they just canceled my show in Toronto. Canadian police don't want nobody from TDE performing. But after this, we've had different statements back and forth being issued between the Canadian police. They were saying they were not responsible for this, and the show that this was supposed to be taking place at was History, so the History in Toronto, and this was a music venue that was also, you know, kind of in, I won't say in Drake's hands, but he was definitely also involved in this thing actually, you know, existing. He was involved in the whole rollout of this venue, if I can say this, and it just opened like 3 years ago, so this was definitely Drake's influence sphere as well. So there definitely could be that connection behind ScHoolboy Q's show getting cancelled, which would just prove how petty Drake is about all of this, canceling ScHoolboy Q's show just because he's on Kendrick's side. Now, why is Drake doing this? Is he doing this just to be petty? Is he actually just mad that, I don't know, his house got flooded during recent storms? I don't know. It could also be that he's trying to provoke another diss track from Kendrick. So, you know, The Hard Part 6 was the last song that we got, but people saw that as a weak reply, and he wasn't really addressing, you know, very convincingly any of the allegations that Kendrick has made of pedophilia and all of that stuff. It felt very defensive. People didn't really see it as a really potent track for Drake to actually say something on, and that was kind of it. And then we had the pop-up performance, and it would be Kendrick's turn to drop a diss track now. And maybe Drake is trying to provoke that out of Kendrick by doing a lot of these things, like directly going at someone from TDE and canceling his show, or at least maybe having the influence and the power to do such a thing, which then makes you very suspicious when the police say they weren't the ones actually canceling the show and it came from the promoter or whatever. The whole reason behind this could be that Drake is planning to release a new song. There has been these rumors going around that Drake's got a diss track lined up called Man in the Mirror, and we've actually gotten some info on this from Playa. He's a Drake news insider who said that a new song is called Man in the Mirror and it samples the Michael Jackson song of the same name. Makes sense. The song has several subliminal disses directed at Kendrick and other people, namely Rick Ross, because of him getting beat up for playing Not Like Us at a Toronto club like we talked about. And Kendrick and his team have already heard a version of Man in the Mirror, and Absol was one of the people who heard it, hence the linked tweet. Now, the linked tweet is, Absol going on social media saying we all need to look in the mirror, which could be referring to Drake's song. Now, there's also these pictures that Drake has been posting of himself with mirrors, maybe it was plainly just a mirror selfie, but then also just him walking by a mirror or him sitting at a desk with a glass surface that reflected him like a mirror. He also followed one of the songwriters for Man in the Mirror for co-writing that song with Michael Jackson. So a lot of people maybe are going a little bit too deep into this, but there's a possibility. But a lot of people have already pointed out the irony of addressing allegations of pedophilia and child abuse or liking children on a Michael Jackson sample, who's also kind of in that lane. So it would be very weak. I don't know why you would do that. That's the worst sample you could pick to then go in and try to defend that. But let's see what Drake does with this. We don't know if he's dropping. We don't know if Kendrick is ever responding. To me, in my head, I'm going to be honest with you, even though we're talking about this, I don't see this continuing. I think the beef is over. I think maybe these are just some little aftermaths that we got of him throwing some subliminal shots. The Q thing was really weird. It's really petty to do that if he's not trying to, provoke a response. But I just hope that, at one point this all stops. Drake just goes back to being normal, and we can just look over this and just see Kendrick as the winner. Kendrick is the winner, though, for fun fact, for example, in the Spotify monthly listeners, where he overtook Drake, which is pretty big because Drake is over 70 million, and Kendrick now has about 1 million more, I believe, than Drake. So that's big for Kendrick, and that just shows how big Not Like Us is, because a lot of those streams are coming from Not Like Us, of new people then also streaming the song. So this shows how big Not Like Us is, and it is a diss track. There's a pretty good one. That's big. I mean, Not Like Us is probably one of the most, the best things that Kendrick ever did in his career. So shout outs to Kendrick, man. That's really dope. Now, that's going to be it for today. Let me know how y'all feel about this, how y'all interpret a lot of the things that Drake is doing right now. Do you think the beef will continue? Do you think we're getting another diss track from either one of them? And do you think we're getting Man in the Mirror? And what do you think is behind the ScHoolboy Q show getting canceled? All your thoughts on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and you'll take care.